This is the fifth video in the series about the Eclipse IPL generator for iSpec 2200. And what we're doing in here is, first of all, identifying the first line of data in the spreadsheet, and then adding functionality to enable us to do extra functions to extract better quality data. So specifically, we're going to be looking at the item data that represents the actual IPL. We're going to identify that. And we have to pick out the first line of the data in the spreadsheet because it comes rather down the thing. We're also going to look at the mapping process that gives us extra functionality, and it's a scripting function. So the first line of the IPL data. You may remember that we actually identified the data headings and we mapped them at an earlier stage. And really, to remember what area of the spreadsheet we're looking at, we've got this bit at the top of the slide. The first line of the data has to be indicated. Underneath that comes the rest of the IPL data, but we have to indicate to the application where that very first line of the IPL data comes from. What we have here then is the Select Item Data Fields area. So let's go through this sort of one by one. There's some more detail which I will need to put in, but we'll deal with that after we've done the broad information here. So we're after the item number. The item number appears in that column there. So what we have to do is to set that. The part number appears in the part number and it's identified there, so we can set that. There is some additional material here. Let's illustration indication. There's some extra work that we need to do to this afterwards. Indent. There's some extra processing we need to do to that, and we'll look at that in a minute or two. Effectivity code. Set. Units per assembly. Set. So what we've done then is to give them the basic configuration. We'll be revisiting some of these bits in a moment or two. So we would then go on to the next screen, and that would be, we would then save it. So in the previous bit of this presentation, you heard mention of the fact that we needed to do some modification to the basic mapping to enable us to do the job properly of extracting the information from the spreadsheet. We've got a thing called a script function available for the user to help in this process. And what this function allows the user to do is to modify how the application interprets the parts data in a particular cell. Now, the main functions that we have are find, count leading, and strip leading. And we're going to look particularly at the strip leading function because that one is it's a very useful one, and you'll be able to see very easily how it works. Now, if you look at the bit of the IPL generator program that we've just looked at, the selecting the item data fields. The very first one, if you remember, I just clicked on the top which said fig and +and, and that highlighted the whole column. But that isn't good enough, because if you look in the parts list, first column, you'll find that there's actually an item in there which is not required in this particular area of the field. So let's look at that in a bit more detail. The reason that we don't need the leading dash in this particular column is because that actually indicates that the item is illustrated. So we don't need it there because later on in the process, another of the fields, we actually do need that, and we get at it in a different way. So we need to strip out that leading item. what we have here is the syntax for this item number that we're particularly after. And you can see then that in the right hand side here we've got the columns indicated and we've got the text indicated. What we're trying to do here is to strip the leading hyphen out. That's the bit of information which indicates that in fact that item number has been illustrated, and in the DTD that piece of information is located in another element altogether. So what we need to do then is to strip out that hyphen. So the syntax here then is the character to strip, straightforward enough, is the hyphen, and the value is located in the column indicated by fig, full stop, and. So that's what we do there. So what this looks like then in the mapping window is given in that line at the top there. So what we have to do then is note, if you look there, as part of the syntax, the item to be removed is indicated by that hyphen. Notice that there's a comma each side. The comma splits up the syntax line. So, and the bit that we want to actually, column that we want to remove the values from, where the item information is located, is therefore in that fig dot ampersand column, and that's in square brackets, and that indicates where the data is coming from. So that's what it actually looks like in the mapping window when we've finished. And what we're doing here then is to finish off this video, which is to do with the function of identifying where the actual IPL data is located. There is a further video in this sequence which demonstrates the actual build function and then the pasting of the HTML file into a CMM.